Shalom, and welcome to V'ahavta Yisrael, a Hebrew phrase which means, you shall love Israel. We hope you'll stay with us for the next 30 minutes as our teacher, Dr. Baruch, shares his expository teaching from the Bible. Dr. Baruch is the senior lecturer at the Zera Avraham Institute based in Israel. Although all courses are taught in Hebrew at the Institute, Dr. Baruch is pleased to share this weekly address in English. To find out more about our work in Israel, please visit us on the web at LoveIsrael.org. That's one word, LoveIsrael.org. Now, here's Baruch with today's lesson.
Land is important to God. I've mentioned over the last several weeks how much detail God is giving you and me, the reader, in regard to the distribution of the promised land. We have seen that it's began on the east side of the Jordan, and over the last few weeks we have focused in on that western side of the Jordan River, what is commonly referred to as the land of Canaan. It is that promised land. It is where many of the victories that Israel received from God, as the scripture says so often, for the Lord has delivered them into your hands. And it was God who enabled us to take possession of that land. And there's a principle there, because it is that same God through his Son that makes us able to take possession through faith and grace and the work of Messiah. But we can take hold of the promises of God and that promise of inheritance, inheriting first and foremost what should be at the heart of our desire, a kingdom inheritance. So remember that, and how God is so precise in regard to this inheritance, and that confirms to us that God is very, very precise in those covenantal promises, those kingdom rewards, those kingdom blessings that we, by the grace of God, through the faithfulness of Messiah, through the perfect work of redemption of Messiah, that we will indeed take possession of. Look with me to the book of Joshua and chapter 18. Now, we have seen, for example, Judah on the western side receive his land. We have seen Ephraim and Manasseh as well. But now we're turning our attentions to another people. Notice this. This is the remaining 7 tribes. We mentioned that last week, and we're going to begin with the tribe of Benjamin or Benjamin. So remember that name, Benjamin in Hebrew, Benjamin in English. Look with me to verse 11. Joshua chapter 18 and verse 11. The lot, and it's the lot that belongs to the tribe of the children of Benjamin, of Benjamin, to their families went up. Now, it simply means that it was time for the tribe of Benjamin to receive their inheritance. And again, we see this over and over consistently. They received it by lot, not according to their desires, but according to the providence of God. Once more, verse 11. And the lot of the tribe of the children of Benjamin went up according to the families, their families. And that lot went out, and the border, I should say, their lot went out, and the border was between the children of Judah and the children of Joseph. So again, their lot went out for the border, and the border for the tribe of Benjamin was between the children of Judah and the children of Joseph. Verse 12. And it came about the border to them on the northern side. Now, we have 2 different words that mean side. One is related to the shoulder, which is on the side. So different words, but basically the same intent. So I'll translate them the same way. Look at verse 12. And it came about the border unto them on the northern side. Where was that border on the northern side? From the Jordan, that is from the Jordan River. And the border went up to the side, different word, but same implication, to the side of Jericho from the north. So Jericho has been mentioned before, and we see that it is a border city. Move on to the second part of verse 12. And it went up on the mountain Yama. Yama, Yam is sea. So Yama means towards the sea. And in this case, we're talking about the Mediterranean Sea, so westward. So we read this and we are told that the border went up upon the mountain towards the west, towards that sea. And then it says, and these were the outcome, the results. Now, it's a word that can also be understood as the ending, the conclusion. But literally, and these were the results from the wilderness of Bet-aven. So the results meaning the end locations that was there at that border, at that location. Verse 13. And it passed from there, what passed? The border. So the border passed from there towards Luz, to the side of Luz that was on the south. So the southern side of Luz, and this is Bet-el. Again, these places, many of them are being repeated, and that's because they're border places. They are places that kind of set the boundaries. It gives us the perspective for remembering what's going on. So again, the border passed through from there towards Luz to the side of Luz that was on the south. And this is Bet-el. And the border went down to Atarot, Arad, concerning the mountain, which is on the south. And this is located where? At a place, again, we've mentioned before, Bet-horon Tachton, meaning the lower portion of that city of Bet-horon. Verse 14. Now here the word ta'ar can mean to describe, but in this context, and I did more research on the text, and this word can be used to describe, but specifically to mark a border. So it's better to translate it this way. It's a description, but it's marking a border. Verse 14. And the border was marked, and it encompassed the side of the sea on the south, from the mountain, which is before Bet-horon, towards the south. And we see that these were the results, the outcome, the ending. Its ending was to what? Kiryat Baal, which is Kiryat Yarim. Now, we know, and I've mentioned before, Kiryat Yarim is west of Jerusalem. It's been mentioned before as a border city, and it's just being confirmed now. So the end of this area, this allotment, in this direction on this side, was this location. And notice what it says. It also speaks of a city. This city of Kiryat Yarim belonged primarily to the children of Judah. And this is the side of the sea, meaning this is the place upon the direction that faces, we might say, to the sea. Now look at verse 15. And from that side on the south, it ends with what? It extends to Kiryat Yarim, And then it goes forth. The border goes forth towards the sea. And it goes forth to Mayan, Me, Naftoach, which means the spring waters of this place, Naftoach. Verse 16. And the border goes down to the end of the mountain, which is before the valley of Ben-Hinnom. It goes before Gay, this is a valley of Ben-Hinnom, which is, and it's going to tell us, and we know where this is today, in the valley of Rephaim on the north. Now again, we've come across this before with the tribe of Judah. Why? Because they border each other. We're told that. Now look at the second part of verse 16. And it goes down, this valley of Hinnom, to the side, the southern side of Yebusi. Yebusi, the Jebusites. And we see here that it goes down further towards a place called En Rogel. Now, all of these places that are mentioned, we need to remember. Some we know, some we do not know. Some we know in a general area, but it is not specific. Verse 17. The description, and remember that word means the marking of the border from the north, went out from En Shemesh, and it goes out towards Glilot, which is before Ma'ale Adumim. And here again, there's a city today. It is east of Jerusalem. It is before you make that large decline towards the Dead Sea and the Jordan River Valley. You are at the city known as Ma'ale Adumim. This is the upward road towards Adumim. And then it goes down to Even Bohan. And Even Bohan is a place, but it's a place that was controlled by the son of Reuben. So that location was ruled over by the son of Reuben, and his name was Even Bohan. Verse 18. And it passed to the side which is before the northern Arava. Arava is a desert plain. So it goes down from that location we mentioned previously, and it goes down towards the desert plain on the north. And then it goes down towards the desert plain. And it passes through, look at verse 19. And the border passes to the side of Beth-hoglah. And this is the word Hoglah on the north. And these were, we might say, the results, the outcome, the ending of the border, which is to the bay of the Salt Sea, or we might say the Dead Sea today, on the north. And to be specific, we see where this allotment is. It's tied towards the Dead Sea, the Salt Sea as it's called here, to the end of where? To the end of the Jordan on the south. And we know something. Mentioned this before. We're at the Sea of Galilee. The Jordan River comes out. It goes along that valley called the Jordan River Valley. And that Jordan River empties in on the southern side of the Jordan River into the Dead Sea, into the Salt Sea. And this is exactly what we're reading here in verse 19. For this is the southern border, verse 20. And the Jordan, and then we have a word for fixes a border of it. So that Jordan fixes the border of it on the eastern side. So the Jordan River is the border for the allotment of land that goes to Benjamin on the eastern side. And we learn that it's used for other tribes as well. For this, look at the end of verse 20. For this is the inheritance of the children of Benjamin, according to its border that encompasses, that goes around all of their families. Verse 21. Now, beginning in verse 21, we're looking at cities. The primary cities that are being mentioned that are part of this allotment of land, the inheritance towards or of the children of Benjamin. Look at verse 21. And these were the cities to the tribe of the children of Benjamin, according to their families. And what were the cities that comprised? Well, let's read. Jericho, and again, Beth-hoglah, also Emek-keziz. This might be translated the valley of Keziz, and the house of the Arava, Beth-hoglah, and also Simaraim and Beth-el. So all of these cities were included, and in addition to that, look at verse 23. And the Avim, and the Para, and Ophrah, verse 24. And Kafar, Ha-Amonah, and Ha-Ophni, and Gava, the cities. And now those cities that I've just read, beginning in verse 21, how many are there? It says, the cities, 12 cities, and this is a word for their courtyards. This probably means their districts of administration, their ruling places that are within this allotment of land. Look now, if you would, to verse 25. Other cities were Giv'on, and Harama, and Beriot. I want to say it again, Beriot. Verse 26. And Ha-Mitzpeh, and Ha-Kafira, and Ha-Motzah. Verse 27. Rechem, and Yirpael, and Tar-Allah. Verse 28. And Selah, and Ha-Aleph, Ha-Yebusi. And notice this Yebusi, we've mentioned it several times, that people, the Jebusites. And notice what it says. This is Jerusalem. We have told that the Jebusites controlled Jerusalem for the most part. There was a remnant of the tribe of Judah that also were in Jerusalem. In addition to Jerusalem, Givat, Kiryat, and then it says the cities of this portion. How many? Arba Esrei, 14 cities, and again their courtyards, their places of administration. Now let's look at the end of this chapter and the last sentence. Zot Nachalat Bnei Binyamin Le Mishpachotam. This is the inheritance of the children of Benjamin to their families. So God is a specific God. He is detailed. He is giving to us this account of Him specifically according to His providence, not by the desires of man, but by lot, meaning by the hand of God. He is orchestrating the division of the land according to His wisdom, according to His knowledge. And I want to close with this. The wisest thing that you can do is simply trust God. Whatever He sees fit for you to have, receive it gratefully with thanksgiving. What does the book of Proverbs say? God, don't give me too little that I might be inclined to take to steal. And don't give me too much that I might become prideful and boast. Give me the portion that I can handle. What a wise thing to say, and an affirmation that God, He gives perfectly. What do we learn in the book of James? Every good and perfect gift, exactly what we need. It comes down from God, from heaven, and we should receive it with thanksgiving and gratitude. Be individuals that speak frequently to others and frequently in your prayers words of gratitude. When we are grateful before God, it pleases Him. And what we ought not do, and not do it publicly, not do it to others, and not do it before God. Don't have that complaining spirit. You can share things in a way that's not in the spirit of complaining, but you can do so in a way that conveys your feelings, but does not discourage, but encourage. Pray to God. God, how do I share my feelings, my frustrations with others? God will give you the words. God will lead you and how to voice these things that will be received in a way that unity will come about. When we complain, it destroys unity. It puts a barrier between us, and complaining brings about the discipline of God. Well, we'll close now. Thank you for being part of this broadcast. And until next week, it is my sincere prayer. God bless those people that are listening. Encourage them, assist them, and make known to them all the things that they need to know in order to serve you in a pleasing way. Until next week, shalom from Israel.
Well, we hope you will benefit from today's message and share it with others. Please plan to join us each week at this time and on this channel for our broadcast of LoveIsrael.org. Again, to find out more about us, please visit our website, LoveIsrael.org. There you will find articles and numerous other lectures by Baruch. These teachings are in video form. You may download them or watch them in streaming video. Until next week, may the Lord bless you in our Messiah Yeshua, that is, Jesus, as you walk with Him. Shalom from Israel.